Welcome back to the shop. I'm Aaron Moore, and on this channel, I'm going to teach you how to refinish like a pro. You're going to want to make sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you do, you're going to learn tips, tricks, and techniques daily from inside my shop, where we've restored thousands of pieces of furniture over the last 20 years. I'm going to start today out doing something a little bit different. Since I'm new here on YouTube, I don't have a lot of pages to follow yet. I don't know quite who is good and bad. If you have a recommendation, tag them down below. I really want to get to know some new creators, refinishers, woodworkers, anyone in this niche. And I also wanted to shout out my friend Barry from Mad City Modern. I'll tag his page down below. He's one of my good friends in the industry, makes a lot of really good content, and he's helping me out here on YouTube trying to grow this channel so I could teach you guys how to refinish furniture. Today I'm going to start with a little bit of a rundown of what my goals are for the day. What we're going to do first is we're going to get toner on the table that's in the spray booth behind me, and depending on weather, we may get the top coat on it, so that one will be finished up. We're going to work on those Frankl nightstands, taping them up, doing some repairs, and then the toning today. Then we'll come back tomorrow and probably spray the finals on those ones. Then, what you've all been waiting for, you've been watching it, we're going to work on this Eames chair in probably another hour or two. We're going to get this one reassembled, put back together, and tested to make sure that all these shock mounts are on there nice and tight. Also, on top of those three projects, we're going to go outside. It's going to start sprinkling right now. I don't know what the plan is yet, but Ivan's been working on this really unique wall panel. I think it came from Thailand or the Philippines, all hand carved. We're just sanding it, cleaned it about a month ago, washed it, and then we're going to get it in the spray booth for something that you're not going to expect from me. We're going to use a polyurethane on this because it's going outside. It's going to be in the elements, and if you go back a few videos, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it's that house that has the beachfront view over in Laguna Beach. I can't wait to see this project, completed, getting it back on the wall. And I said, this is something you're not going to see every day. So stay tuned for us to show you that. We'll see at the end of the day if we can knock all these projects out. We have one more that's on my list. I'm not going to even mention it because I don't think I'm going to get to it. So let's stop playing with the camera here. Let's get back in the spray booth. This table had some progress this morning. We were sanding the sealer, 320 grit, and then the sponge. It's done. We started this before the cameras were rolling. But as you can see now, you have a little bit of this white haze on the surface. This is all the powdered up, sealer. I like to wait 24 hours or 18 hours before we do this, because if you don't, it'll get kind of gummy. It'll get like a little sticky when you're sanding it. It's hard to explain, but go sand sealer after about an hour. It's just, there's a weird texture to it that I don't like. So we kind of take our time on it and let it dry fully. But now I'm just gonna wipe off all of that dust, get it all cleaned up, so that way we can mix up some toner. This is about a shade too light right now. We need to match it to the legs. So what we're gonna do is make up the custom toner, spray a few coats on it, and then seal it all in. We got that wiped down. What we're gonna make up now is a little bit of toner using the Mohawk toners. I already put the clear coat in here, some sealer, and I know the ratio that I want, that amount, perfect. Over 20 years, you start just knowing how much seconds of a pour you want. So we don't want it very concentrated. You don't want it to be really harsh. If you do that, you can create shadows on your furniture, which would look horrible. So now we have that like just a medium brown, which is what's going to go on the top of this to match it back to where the legs are. So I'll get my mask on, turn on the compressor, and we'll get this sprayed. Okay, we're going to clean the gun out again. Had the pressure pretty high yesterday for whatever reason. Save that acetone. Get that poured back in. Get our mask on, and then we're going to start spraying some toner on this beauty. It's always important to put your mask on when you're inside the spray booth. You do not want to smell this stuff all day. We have to do this first. It's been a busy afternoon here at the shop. As you can see on these Paul Frankl nightstands, we had the original one that we restored a few years ago, had a few chips, we've done some repairs, it's ready to go back in the spray booth. But as you can see, the new one that we're trying to copy, I've already sanded the sealer. I now taped up the perimeter. If you see around the exterior, we tape it all up. We want to cover that mahogany because we're trying to tint this edge first. When you look at it here closely, you can see that this has like a nice light walnutty tone. This is still really like light maple colored almost. So what we're going to do is get it in the spray booth, tint this, then we'll pull it back out, take the paper off one more time, then we'll change the color to something a little bit more rich, because I'm going to show you the drawers right now and you're going to really see the contrast between the two mahoganies. If you come in a little closer, you'll see these are the drawers that we've done before, and these are now the new ones. You can see how the color is about a shade or so, maybe 2 shades off. We're going to get that with the toners in the spray booth. Like I said, that's why, and you can even see, I'll line them up even closer, you can see the difference between the maple and like the light walnut that kind of still ties in. Like I've been saying all week, it's going to still have a two-tone effect. It's just not going to be that big, like bright, bold separation like the two-tone. Most customers don't like that these days. But what we have to do now is tape these up. A lot more work. It's going to take longer to tape it up than it's going to be to actually do the do the tinting on it, which patience is key in here. We know what we're doing is all for the right reasons. We're trying to get the best finish possible. So even if it takes a few extra minutes, it's gonna show in your final product. Customers is going to be even happier, which means they're going to refer people to you, which means you're going to get more customers, and ultimately it'll become a supply and demand issue that you're only one person. You could charge more money for your restorations if you're in high demand. So that's one of the benefits of doing better work. You're going to get better customers and and better success for your business. So we've got the front down. And we're going to wrap it around the exterior. And all this is going to be for 2 minutes of spraying. So like I said, it's a lot of extra work that you're not going to want to do. I can guarantee that. Like, you're not going to want to do this. I just know like the final outcome is going to be worth it. And I've done it, like I said, 6, 7 times already. I know these cabinets. I know what they need. And the customers trust me to bring them back to the way that that looks the best. And it's always important to take your finger or even like a chisel and push it down one more time right in the corner, so that way none of this lacquer is going to work its way underneath. We have 2 more to go. Get these knocked out and I'll get them back in the spray booth. And then hopefully by the end of the day, we could show you that Eames chair and this really cool piece that Ivan's been working his butt off on all day. His fingertips are probably worn out from hand sanding this thing for like the last 3 days or so. I can't wait to show you that. Like, give us a few minutes. I'm going to let those Paul Frankl nightstands dry for a minute before I reveal them to you, before we take the paper off. But I wanted to show you what Ivan's been working on for the last few days. It's this beautiful wall mural. Like I told you this morning, I believe it's out of it's a mahogany of some sort, either Filipino or Honduran. I'm assuming Filipino. But yeah, he's been hand sanding this. We've used a few machines to get in there as well. But this is the piece that I was mentioning to you that we're going to be using a polyurethane on, which is rare here. It's a automotive style called Pinnacle. We got it in a satin. So what we're going to do, it started raining. I could feel the moisture on this since Ivan was sanding it near the door this morning. I don't want to put anything on. We're just going to let it dry overnight, like cool off. Well, not even cool off, but dry out. We'll leave a fan on it. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to stain the face of it just to help enhance it. We're going to get in all these little nooks and crannies. Then that way we could spray the Pinnacle on top, and it'll require less coats, which is better for us, which means it'll go on even smoother. First, start with the back. Probably on Friday, we'll flip it over, spray the top, at least 1 coat, come back either on the weekend or on Monday sand it one more time, spray the final on it, and this will let it cure for 24 or 48 hours, and then it'll go back to Laguna Beach. But this is a second wall mural that we've kind of done over the years. About a year ago, we finished this 14-foot by 6 foot, which is, this is about 6 feet, but it was about 3 times the size of this, and it was a piece dedicated from the country of the Philippines, I believe, right? Right, Ivan? Yeah, the Philippines. It was the Bataan Death March during World War II. It was made in the 50s from the government, given to the United States government. It sat in the consulate in Louisiana, if I remember right. Was moved out post or pre-Katrina, the hurricane, and sat in a warehouse with one of the former consulate generals. Ultimately sold to my customer 5 years ago, something around there, and then he finally, after a few years, decided to have us restore it. And go on my Instagram, I have a bunch of content on that restoration. Eventually we'll do a long form video. We have all the footage of the restoration. We need to do that, but I said, just take a look at like the amount of work that goes into these hand carved. I don't even know how they would have done it today. Like me personally, I don't carve. I could fix maybe one little leaf or little parts like that. But if you gave me a flat piece of wood and said, do this, I would not know. Modern today, people are going to use CNC machines, which are real popular, make things real easy. But like I said, something like this was all handmade. It's got to be 30, 40 years old, if I remember right, from the customer. They bought it, I believe, in Thailand or the Philippines. I don't remember where. They have 3 or 4 different murals or pieces of art that are in their front yard. Absolutely stunning. This is going in the front foyer right when you walk towards the front door. We'll put this up in a few days, and we'll bring the camera and show you the grand reveal on that, because it is going to be something special. It's not your typical piece of furniture. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. I let this off gas for a few minutes, but what I'm going to do is go into the spray booth, mist a light coat on the original one, put that in the booth, reseal it. By the time I finish that, this will be tacky enough that, I mean, my hands are still sticking to it, so I really don't want to jump into it too quick. I want to let it dry. We'll turn the fans back on, but well, I said we're going to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, whatever the saying is. We're going to work on 2 things. Let this dry while we go in the booth, so we're not just sitting around watching paint dry. We don't want to do that here. Okay, we're going to get this one just blown off real quick. Get dust off. And then we'll just do a little bit of tinting just to, the back is faded from sitting across the window. The top has got a little bit of fading. And then we're just going to enhance it, richen it up a shade, just so that way we know it's done right. And then it'll give me something to match to when I pull the other one in a few minutes. Now it's time to take the paper off this before I go and seal that back up. That way I could play with it if I need to tint that one a little bit more, if I need to match a section. Because it's really good just to let it sit off gas for a few minutes while we get this one ready. So you gotta go carefully, because now you're dealing with paper that has fresh lacquer on it. So take that off. Get a good pair of like tweezers, because you will find it they are more useful than you imagine. They're really good if you get a hair in your paint while you're spraying. You can grab it. You really want the surgical pliers, or not, like you call them pliers, tweezers, so that way they can pick up those little fine hairs. So I said that I learned that trick after 20 years from somebody in my private community. They told me that, and I was like, I don't know why I never thought about that. So now you start seeing that this section here matches this. It's slightly different because the woods are different, obviously, but we're in the same family. So now when we tint it, it'll all tint up the same. It will all match at the same time. We're gonna add a few coats of the toner. And like I said, it'll all be even once again. But all this extra energy I took to do it, and 5 minutes of spraying is all it was. It was all it needed to look this good. So we'll do this. We only got a little bit of time left today. So we'll get this knocked out. And come back tomorrow. I got all the paper off of that one. And like I said, now we'll get the drawers taken apart. And these are tricky too, and I noticed this just a minute ago on the first drawer that we didn't film. At this angle, they're a little different in color. When you bring it up vertically, it changes color. Mahogany is one of those woods that has a different characteristic. When it's going like horizontal grain or vertical grain, it'll look different. So you need to make sure you pay attention to that, or else you can easily pass the color of the that you're aiming to get. You could pass it, then you got to start from scratch all over again. Nope, not hurt. That was the bottom. There we go. That's better. Okay, we're going to let those Frankl nightstands dry overnight. Show you off those tomorrow. They really look great. Now I'm just finishing tightening up the last few screws on this one. Ivan ended up putting it together while I was in the spray booth, and the shock mounts are all dry. Everything's cured. I'm not going to sit in it at all, not until tomorrow, because then I'm going to make sure to give those a full 24 hours, which was right about now. I finished them about 5:30, but it's been a little cold and rainy today, which means it's not the opportune temperature for for the curing of that epoxy. So as I said, we got this beauty back together. But I'll pull it over on this side. You can see this was a customer's family heirloom. It was her dad's. She was just wanting me to fix the shock mounts. I want to give her a little bit extra. There was a big break here from one of the previous times the shock mounts broke. I'm just going to do a little touch-up repair on this, blend it in, mask it, and then we're just going to oil this whole thing up tomorrow and put the cushions back on and let her know it's ready to go. So I'm just going to kind of tape up around the section just so we don't get overspray everywhere. A little bit will be okay because we are going to oil it and it'll all go away once we clean it with some steel wool. But why not? Why make more work for us? So kind of make sure the paper's not touching anywhere there. I'm just going to use these with the aerosols. Just do a light mist. You can already see it kind of comes right back just by doing that. Then I could blend in a little bit of color on the on that. We'll let that kind of dry up for a minute. Over here, I think this side was okay. I think so. There's a little bit of dirt, some maybe some old touch-ups or something. We'll scrub a lot of that out when we hydrate it and kind of bring it back to life tomorrow. Okay, let's see. Let's make up that magic color. Clean my brush a little bit. I think I forgot to clean it earlier today, so it was a little bit stiff. Okay, so let's see. I know we need to go a lot lighter. This is rosewood, but rosewood bleaches over time and it lightens up to this. So this chair, if we were to fully restore it, it would look like the Eames chair I showed you yesterday that just came back from Louise, the upholstery. And I was aiming to do it, but she just didn't have the funds to do it. She just wanted to correct the break on it. She'll bring it back in a couple years. She'll bring it back and have us do the restoration on on the rest of it. So just kind of blending in a little bit. We'll add a little color. So we'll just give her a little bit extra. She's a nice customer, and it's just sad that this thing broke. And she, it was something as a family heirloom. It was her dad's piece of furniture. So I hate when that happens. said, was it going to take me 5-10 extra minutes to do this? She's going to be a customer for life. Why not just, you know, take that little bit extra energy and give her like a little special treat, a little surprise. She doesn't know that I'm doing this for her. Okay, we just cleaned up. It's still pouring rain outside, and we left a few blankets out there. Now we got a few more that maybe go into the trash. So I'm trying to get this color. Faded colors like this are really difficult to match. It's really easy when they're bright and bold, but when it's kind of that faded color, you're doing a little bit, you know, a little bit extra work to it to try to blend it in. I don't know what it is, but whatever the sun does to these things naturally just kind of makes it hard to repair and touch up. I don't know what exactly the problem is. I said, I think we're pretty close. I'll let this dry. And I think it just needs a little bit of the black lines, and that'll mask it up enough that I'm going to be happy with it. And the customer, like, so once you put the arm back on, you're never going to see this anyways. It's going to be sitting on the ground, and like I said, the line of sight will be completely different. It'll look different on the bottom. Like I said, it's just, she knows it's there. Now she's going to be, you know, overjoyed that it's fixed. It's back to, let's call it good. It's not great. It's not been fully stripped and sanded, but it's much better than the way it came in. So there's our little bit of black. Let's see what we can do with this. Rosewood is still easy to touch up because of how much dark lines that it has. So you can kind of play with it a little bit. And so I think we're just about there. But it's good enough for today. We'll do it today, let it dry overnight, come back, take a look at it, set it on the ground, and then go from there. If I've earned your subscription, hit that button down below. It'd really help with the algorithm, help grow this channel, and help teach you and many others how to refinish furniture. We'll see you tomorrow.